Mass murder in San Bernardino. It's SkyWatchTV for Thursday, December 3rd, 2015. I'm Derek Gilbert. You know by now that 14 people were killed, 17 wounded when a pair of heavily armed people opened fire Wednesday at the Inland Regional Center in San Bernardino. The shooters wore assault-style clothing, armed with rifles and handguns, later shot and killed by police. They were identified as 28-year-old Saeed Farouk and his 27-year-old wife Tashfeen Malik. Farouk was employed by San Bernardino County as a health inspector. He'd been attending a Christmas party at the Inland Regional Center. Witnesses say he left the party apparently upset, returned a short while later with his wife and weapons. Farouk's estranged father described him as a very religious Muslim. Co-workers said he had traveled to Saudi Arabia earlier this year, was gone for about a month, returned with Malik as his wife. Not much known about her. She's apparently originally from Pakistan, described as a pharmacist. Officials in California say they don't have a confirmed motive for the shooting yet. It's easy to look at the bullet points of this incident and draw some conclusions. Muslim, Christmas party. But the truth is, we really don't know. Certainly some planning was involved. A couple reportedly left a 6-month-old infant, a child that will never know its parents now, with a grandparent before the incident began. Farouk left the party, returned about 20 minutes later. That's 20 minutes to drive home, change clothes, pull together a bunch of weapons, spare ammunition, masks, and drive back to the party. So certainly there was some planning involved. That doesn't happen on the spur of the moment. It maybe Farouk simply just had a disagreement with a coworker and decided to go out with a blaze of glory. And that based on his Islamic faith, that he and Malik fully expected to be greeted in paradise as soon as they committed suicide by cop, which is what happened. Certainly the volume of weapons and ammunition discovered by police at their home after the event would indicate there was more to it than just an office dispute. And I'll add this, it would be tough to be them right now because instead of paradise, they're learning in a very real way what God meant when he said, "Vengeance is mine, I will repay." Now, the major media tiptoed around their identities and religious affiliation for as long as it could yesterday. I'm not going to belabor that point. We should be used to it by now. Some media analysts speculated early in the event, without any information to go on, that this might be the work of an anti-government militia unit. Just as last week, progressive commentators tried to link the deadly shootings at the Planned Parenthood office in Colorado Springs to the work of a Christian pro-life activist. Again, this is nothing new. During the time of the apostles, the Emperor Nero blamed Christians for burning down Rome. Same stuff, different millennium. Pray for the families of the victims. And pray for those who have a long road of recovery ahead of them from the injuries that they sustained yesterday. Possibly the most provocative media response to the event in San Bernardino came from the New York Daily News. This is the front page today, Thursday. The message, of course, that God isn't going to fix this. It's up to us humans to do it. And the Republican presidential candidates calling for prayer for the families are cowards who don't want to do the heavy lifting necessary. Presumably, they mean confronting the National Rifle Association to get guns banned so this will never happen again. Now, leaving the politics aside and the effectiveness of gun bans, God granted us all free will. And sadly, events like the one in San Bernardino yesterday, Colorado Springs on Friday, are the consequence of us humans having the free will to choose evil. Evil inspired by the principalities, powers, and rulers of this present darkness, who are our real enemies, according to the Apostle Paul. No amount of surveillance or gun control will absolutely prevent this, not even if we lived under a Saddam Hussein-type dictatorship. But we Christians, make no mistake, need to remember, first and foremost, that prayer is our most powerful weapon in the spiritual war that's raging around us. And it is that prompted the events in San Bernardino yesterday. If we're frustrated that God isn't moving quickly enough to punish wrongdoers, well, it's understandable, but it's because we see the world through flawed, limited human perspectives. We want answers on our time, not his. And again, God has said vengeance is his and he will repay. I know that's cold comfort for the families of those who've lost loved ones and for those who are going to suffer with a lot of pain as they recover from the injuries suffered yesterday. But make no mistake, prayer works. We think it doesn't because we're not seeing the whole picture. In other news, Turkey's President Erdogan has responded to Russia's detailed presentation yesterday of the evidence that Turkey is profiting from black market oil that it's buying from the Islamic State. President Erdogan's response? He's accusing Russia of buying oil from the Islamic State and turning a profit, and says he has proof. In geopolitical terms, this is the equivalent of a kid in the schoolyard saying, I know you are, but what am I? The foreign ministers of Russia and Turkey were scheduled to meet in Belgrade, Serbia today, and let's hope that cooler heads prevail. Russia's activity in Syria is making Israel nervous. Russian air power in southern Syria may be giving Hezbollah and the Iranian Republican Guards an opportunity to replace Syrian rebels along the border of the Golan Heights, where the Israel Defense Force has, since Wednesday, reportedly been on high alert, watching things, specifically the battles taking place between those rebels and Hezbollah. Russia reportedly also moving heavy artillery pieces to Syria, specifically to their headquarters around Latakia, which is the base of power for President Bashar al-Assad. Apparently, the al-Nusra Front, which is al-Qaeda's affiliate in Syria, managed to land a couple of 130-millimeter shells a little too close to Russian headquarters there for comfort. Now, the significance of these stories: if Russia is in fact the Magog identified by the prophet Ezekiel in chapter 38 of his book, the presence of the Russian military in Syria on Israel's northern border could have prophetic significance. Moscow also, by the way, upset with NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, of which the United States is a member, has invited Montenegro to become its 29th member state. Russia has opposed this move for quite some time. Apparently, Montenegro is a popular vacation spot for Russians, and a number of Russians also have investments there. The Russian Foreign Ministry released a statement saying that this will not promote peace and stability in the Balkans nor in Europe, where it appears that the free movement of people between states is about to end, at least for the next couple of years. EU leaders are preparing to bring back border checkpoints inside the European Union. The Schengen zone, a group of 26 European nations that don't require passports to cross over the border. Members of the Schengen area are pushing for Greece to be suspended from the deal because of its failure to control the flood of migrants coming out of the Middle East. Now, we've reported before that the Greek government, members of the Greek government rather, have threatened to flood Europe with immigrants if the Eurozone wasn't just a little more forthcoming with some financial aid to help Greece out of its economic crisis. In Iraq, millions of pilgrims are making their way to the city of Karbala. It's Arab. Let me try to get this right. Arbaeen is Arabic for 40. It's a religious observation among Shia Muslims to commemorate the martyrdom of Imam Hussein ibn Ali, the grandson of Muhammad. Comes 40 days after Ashura, a day of bloody self-flagellation that's remembered every year on October 10th, which is the date in 680 AD when Hussein and his 72 followers were killed by an army loyal to the Caliph Yazid I. Now, a news organization called the Shia Post, which isn't exactly objective, claims that the number of pilgrims to Karbala could reach 27 million by tomorrow. Other Iraqi government sources say that the number of pilgrims visiting Karbala this year is about 22 million, up from 17 million last year. Now, bear in mind that the Hajj, which is the annual pilgrimage to Mecca, the holiest site in Islam, normally only draws 2 to 3 million people a year, and that the number of people in all of Iraq is about 33 million. So the idea that 27 million have found their way to the city of Karbala, we may have found where Baghdad Bob got work after the invasion in 2003, the Karbala Tourism Ministry. Not really. Apparently, he's in retirement in the United Arab Emirates. But Baghdad Bob might be able to find some work consulting for the U.S. military. He might be able to find an explanation for the $43 million gas station I told you about a couple of weeks ago. The Inspector General auditing expenses in Afghanistan now wants the Army to explain this. $150 million spent to build hotel-like luxury villas for a handful of employees in Afghanistan, complete with 24-hour building security, bodyguards, and food service. Especially when those employees could have been housed, fed, and protected for a fraction of the cost on one of our military bases in Afghanistan. According to the report, the villas housed no more than 5 to 10 employees at any given time, yet they soaked up 20% of the budget given by the Department of Defense to the now-defunct Task Force for Stability and Business Operations in Afghanistan. A former employee for the TFSBO told Fox News that the villas were hangouts for senior Department of Defense officials who traveled to Afghanistan not to do any work, just to hang out there and rack up frequent flyer miles. Alarming news if you're a fan of bananas. It appears bananas are going extinct, at least the variety that we see in grocery stores. A fungus deadly to the Cavendish banana, which is the world's most popular variety, has spread from Southeast Asia to the Middle East and Australia, and researchers say it's now just a matter of time before it jumps to South America, where over 80% of Cavendish bananas are grown. The Cavendish was developed about 50 years ago as a fungus-resistant variety to replace the Gros Michel banana. Gros Michel is French, and if I remember my high school French correctly, that roughly translates as Big Mike. Anyway, the Gros Michel was more or less wiped out in the 1960s by this fungus, Fusarium oxysporum. Well, a new strain of Fusarium called Tropical Race 4 has emerged, and it is deadly to the Cavendish banana. The problem is that Cavendish bananas are seedless clones of one another. No genetic variety, which means no opportunity to develop a fungus-resistant strain of the Cavendish banana. So eat them while you got them. And let this be a lesson. This is one of the drawbacks when man starts playing around with the genetic code of God's creation. This coming Tuesday on SkyWatch TV, a message I think that will be really meaningful, especially at this time of year as we approach the Christmas season. How deep is the love and mercy of God? We welcome a couple of authors, Donna Howell, co-author of the book Redeemed, Unredeemable, and John McTernan, author of When Jesus Sets You Free, You Are Free Indeed. It was a discussion that, to be honest, I really didn't know where it was going to go, but it really hit home. You won't want to miss it. Tuesday night on the Christian Television Network. And if you're outside the United States, and I keep forgetting to mention this because I know we have viewers all over the world, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time is UTC -5. Now, if that's the middle of the night for you, or if you don't get satellite television, of course, it does stream live on the Christian Television Network's website, ctnonline.com. But, of course, later in the week, it will be available on the SkyWatch TV channels, on Roku, and on YouTube. There are still a few spots available. Registration for the 2016 Rocky Mountain International Prophecy Conference, July 14th through the 17th, 2016 in Colorado Springs. Over 24 speakers on Bible prophecy and geopolitics. Don't miss this gathering. It's going to be a real blessing for those who are there. Information and registration are available online at the website of our friends Prophecy Watchers. That's prophecywatchers.com. During the month of December, while supplies last, some special gifts from SkyWatch TV for your financial support. During the month of December, some Christmas music from a variety of cultures, Latin, African, and Celtic cultures, 3 hours of music, a $30 value, the World Christmas CD pack, along with a wonderful book, a fictional account of the final years of Ebenezer Scrooge. Donna Howell's book, Ebenezer, and a lovely Christmas tree decoration. Our gifts to you for your gift of any amount during the month of December. U.S. residents only, please. Instructions on how to donate posted at skywatchtv.com. And if you want to find out what I think about everything, because I do have a psychological need to express my opinion, Facebook, Twitter, and my website there. And of course, your comments, questions, and suggestions are always welcome. dgilbert@skywatchtv.com. Thank you for watching. As we keep watch, I'm Derek Gilbert, and this is SkyWatch TV.